from the scratch again, 2013. How were you able to then build a team traditional way?
Well, I think you have to look at what's the main duties of a team leader, and to me, it was always lead generation, a big component of that. We need to be able to support our agents through coaching. You have to be a really good real estate coach. I had to learn a little bit more on the traditional side and actually go on some listing appointments myself.
Yeah.
I think also they look to us for great tech stacks. And I'm being operationally minded. I always try to look at ways that we can automate, make things simpler, and kind of still continue to improve the experience. And so where I went first was, well, if I'm going to bring these people on, if I'm going to attract the right agents, I better get good at lead generation. And what does that look like? And so we were one of the early, Boomtown adopters. Yes, yeah. We got on the Boomtown platform, and we started spending a lot of money on PPC and ISAs.
Yeah.
Some of that money that I'd saved from the REO days, invested in kind of building that side of the business.
Yeah.
Getting things down funneled to hand raisers. And so creating as many appointments as I possibly could for my agents. And we went from, 2013, just me, my wife, and an agent. By the end of, I think it was 2014, we're up to, a team of 8 to 10. Mm-hmm. And that's a great spot to be in. We're investing not just in PPC leads, but we're aggregators like Zillow and Realtor. We were some of the early adopters there with small budgets. Just seeing what I can continue to do to add more opportunities to our team members, mm-hmm. and then help them convert. But 8 to 10, man, you're like a family. Everybody was in the office every day. Everybody was sitting there in the bullpen making calls and learning from each other and growing and expanding. And that's kind of a lot. I think a lot of team leaders stop there, and because it is a comfortable spot to be in. Mm-hmm. I think it is a fulfilling spot to be in because you are like a family. You can all go to dinner together. You can all hang out.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think, one, we had more to give. I thought we could change more lives. I thought we could help more people. I knew we could generate more leads and more opportunities. And so what was the next scale of the business? And I also lost one of those people that were family left the team, and it has a big impact on your bottom line when one person leaves, or maybe it's two that leave,
3, yeah,
and you have
especially someone who's like a high producing agent leaves. I mean, that can potentially be like 10, 15, 20, 30% of your revenue. Yeah.
And so one, you have a duty even to not just yourself but the other people on the team to make sure your business is durable. And at 8 to 10, you're not super durable.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're 1, 2, 3 agents leaving, one big producer leaving to, being in the red. And that's a scary spot to be in. And I think at that point too, you just don't have what's their growth path past building a good book of business. You send these people, and this was something that I've thought about for a number of years, and we've actually created a different model to hopefully answer that question. But if they don't know how they're going to continue to grow with you, not just this year or next, but 10 years from now, they're going to create their own growth path, and you're not going to be in it.
Yeah.
And so most of them are thinking, especially if you hired a bunch of, if you follow DISC profile, you hire a bunch of DIs, they want to create their own team at some point, right? They're done hunting. They want to go build their own team. We've given them the tools. We've given them the opportunities, and we've helped build a book of business together. Man, that really hurts when somebody leaves and you basically trained your competition. And now all of them those early ones that left are still dear friends. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I didn't have what was next for them. I didn't answer that question for them. So they had to go answer it themselves. And so you have to be able to answer that question.
So when did you make that shift? We're like, what? We're a traditional team. I have about 8 to 10 agents. They're all highly producing. Most of them are highly producing agents, right?
Yep.
One left. There's a chance another one's going to leave. There's another one. You're vulnerable, right? I mean, when did you make that, shift in your mindset and also ultimately in your tiers or compensation plans where you're like, you know what, I got to give them a bigger platform to shine?
Yeah, that came later. I mean, it still took me a number of years to kind of build out essentially growth paths for the agents within our team. The way that I answered the question initially was growing essentially agent count for more durability. Plus, we had the lead flow to support it.
At that time, how many leads were you like generating for 8 to 10 agents?
So appointment, I mean, PPC is low converting.
Cheap.
I mean, it's in the hundreds at that time. Maybe we were in the thousands, but getting it down funnel to an appointment, we were still generating 50, 60 appointments a month.
And that's through the ISA department.
That's the ISA department.
So you always said ISAs, right?
Yeah, for the most part. And that's taken many evolutions from outsourcing it to having, I've had 15 ISAs in office making calls. It's a really tough.
You had what? You had 15 ISAs?
In office, local, making calls because I've been burned by offshore and nearshore and outsourcing. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it better here. And I didn't. And so now we have offshore. It's actually a nearshore ISA out of.
What's a nearshore?
Nearshore is just
like the United States somewhere?
Or Central America.
Central America.
Yeah,
okay, got it.
You're not completely different, opposite hours.
Okay.
Also, I think it translates really well to the Arizona market because most of them are Spanish speaking.
I see.
And so that's what we targeted. I think where are we out of Nicaragua or somewhere. I can't remember exactly which country, but that's where we operate out of. And then I have 2 in states like lead coordinators who've been basically manage the ISAs and manage some of the other flow of leads and things along those lines. But yeah, you ramped it up to 15 here locally, and it's a really tough segment of your business to define the ROI. Like that was the challenge with it. Was like I've got these 15 guys. I can see all the appointments they created, but I don't know if it really moved our volume as much as I thought it was, or did the agents just call less? I don't know. I don't know, right? And so we didn't see numbers move significantly.
Right, and then you're looking at the ROI standpoint, like 15 ISAs, you're probably on average paying them $2,500, $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
Somewhere there.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're
on target. I mean, there were low bases. I forget what it was.
And the turnover rate is super
Huge,
high.
yeah,
Super high, right? So I mean, you're shelling out probably between $40,000 to $50,000 a month.
Yeah.
Just for
then,
payroll.
Yeah, and then managers,
and then the leads.
Yeah, it gets expensive, but I've never been afraid to. Well, we call it firing bullets. I'm like, okay, we think this is the best way to go, and we'll test something. I think
for how long you tested though?
It depends. So it depends on what we're trying to, what our hypothesis is. So I think scientific method lacks. There's a lack of scientific method in this industry. People don't test their ideas. They just go, we're going to go all in and do it. And I go, oh, we got to A/B test these things and see if it makes sense. And then it might be a great quote. I can't remember what book it was from, but first you fire bullets, and then once it works, you fire cannonballs. And so that's a mantra that we've used for a number of years. And so think of anything that we do. For instance, I'll start with a small group of agents. So we have 220 agents today, but we're testing out today. One of the things we're testing out and we're spending money on is AI transcribing calls. So everything that comes through as an inbound lead to the agent, there's the initial call. The initial call is recorded through our follow-up boss lines. Through AI, you can actually take that call. We can transcribe and summarize it right into follow-up boss. It gives the bullet points from it, and then hopefully at some point it's executing on the actions from that call. And then even then, what they miss. So as a leader, I can see the opportunities and what the agent missed in that call to be able to coach them and work on how they may have missed the appointment. Well, we don't build that out for the entire team. You get a subset of agents of 4 or 5. We try it, we perfect it, we get feedback. much like a tech company would. And goes from a marketing campaign. This goes from listing presentation changes to calls to action on social media. You're testing everything in small scales and go, okay, this worked, and I'm going to pour gas on that. And we're going to continue to build on that and see if it continues to work. And so the ISA, these are other things I've learned over the years. The ISA was one that worked with one or two, but sorry, not all things work just because you 10x them. So, it worked well creating the appointments, and we saw some ROI with 1 to 2 agent or ISAs. And then we go, well, maybe, and this is in our annual planning, maybe we just need to beef up our ISA department. But it's hard to duplicate when you've got good talent, 2 good talented ISAs that are doing amazing work, to find 15 good talented ISAs.
Because you're still going to probably end up with about 2, 3, possibly 4 good ISAs, talented ISAs, and then the rest of them are going to be average or below average.
Correct. Yeah.
But you're paying
same. Well, not the bonus structure, but we're talking, even the producers are making a ton more than.
Yeah, but isn't the same thing applies to the agents though?
Yeah, I would say so.
Right. I mean, you're going to have some agents that are going to be having much higher conversions when it comes to, setting appointments or, meeting with those buyers and sellers. And then you're also going to have agents that you're going to give them the same number of appointments and the conversion rates are going to be half less.
Correct. And that's why, standards and expectations are so important. There's the minimum standard, and then there's the expectation that you want to hopefully get everybody to. And so trying to get the best out of people, and some people's capacity are just different than others, and that's okay. But what am I willing to not negotiate on? What is that conversion that is just not acceptable, where I'm willing to have a tough conversation with somebody? But it's also, the expectations are well known. The expectations when you come on the team are known, and we actually developed them together. Now, of the 220 agents, they weren't all there where we developed the expectations together, but there was a ton of buy-in because they helped create what our standards and expectations were for conversion and lead follow-up and all those other things. And so anytime that I'm trying to create a new behavior, I get the agents, or at least today it's the influencer agents on the team, or change agents as I would call them, I get them involved in the process. Because if it's me just telling them what I think it should be, you're not going to get buy-in. You're not going to get them, as being one to be part of that change. But if they help create what the new model looks like and what the new standards are, they were way more bought in.
Yeah.
And so getting those people that are influential in each office today, those ones that, it's just super helpful. And they're usually, good drivers. They have high standards for themselves and for the business.
Yeah. So I guess what are your standards? What are your expectations of an agent? Let's say, for example, an agent, I want to join your team, right? What exactly you guys are expecting out of me as an agent?
So it depends. And this is where, 3 years ago now, we created the levels of agents. And so where I want everybody to have the same opportunities, the ones that perform are the ones that are rewarded. And so we are, at our core, a sales organization, regionally based, and you have to perform to receive more and better opportunities. And so depending on where you're coming from, if you come in as a producing agent, we have levels 1 through 4, 1 being the lowest, 4 being the highest. To be a level 4 agent, you got to be doing, I think, 35 to 45 transactions. We kind of project, we shifted it this year just because on the volume of transactions are down because interest rates are up. And so I'll look at where those scales are at annually. But to be a level 1 agent, I think that goes up to 12 transactions a year. Mm-hmm. So
and that's a producing agent.
That's a producing agent, right. 0 to 12 transactions. Mm-hmm. At 12, you bump to level 2. Mm-hmm. And then let's say, I can't remember the exact one, but let's say it's 24 up to 24, mm-hmm. and then you bump to level 3. Mm-hmm. My expectations of a level 1 agent are that you're going to come in. You probably don't have a big database at that point. You're probably newer to the industry. You're going to build your database. You're going to call on some of our pond leads, and you're also going to get some opportunities, some lower price point opportunities from the team to see how you perform. We auto pause you for an optimization. So once you've earned the opportunity, you've done all the onboarding stuff, you've done the training, you've got your database into the system, you're doing some stuff, you're calling on pond leads, then we're going to give you an opportunity to take some team generated leads. At that point, you can take 15 team generated leads from multiple sources, Zillow, Realtor.com, AdWords.
That's per month.
That maybe.
Okay.
And mind you, some of these are really down funnel, but they're lower price points. So they might be to the point of a hand raiser and not need a ton of follow up.
When you say low price point, we're
for us, Phoenix. So our average price point's $470 right now for the team.
Yep.
It would be probably anything $350 and below.
Gotcha.
Maybe $400 and below. And those are harder to convert. So we give some grace in that. So the standards for that price point are a little bit different than converting a $600,000 lead. At that point, the agents that they have the opportunity level ones have the opportunities. They can move up if they hit the production, but there's also a really high rate of attrition and turnover at level one, which is somewhat acceptable to me.
So when you say a high level of attrition, what are we looking at? For every 10 agents that you bring on, 5?
3 might make it.
3
might make it to level 2.
To level 2.
They might sit in level 1.
And that's above 12 transactions.
That's above 12 transactions, right? So they'll sit. Sometimes people are happy in level 1, but it's lower opportunities. It is less overhead for us. As long as you're not doing 0, minimum, it would be minimum for a year. Basically covers our team expenses.
Okay.
And so at that point, so level 1, additional opportunities, higher rate of attrition. But they said that's more acceptable there at level 1 because that's where they have to prove it to us, right? But once you get to level 3, I want very, very low turnover there. And so even level 2s, but all the opportunities in the middle. The more 2s you can get to move to 3s is where the money's at. And that's where the opportunity's at for the agents. That's when a bunch of level 3s that are performing, that are getting great lead opportunities and continuing to convert at a high level, those are amazing people. And then you've got your 4s, which everybody aspires to be, but it's tough to get there.
What are the benefits of being in that tier 4?
So the best carrot that we have, and I don't know if that's the best term, but the best carrot that we have is the price point. So our lead flow it changes. So you might still be getting the same opportunities, down funnel to a hand raiser, meaning it's either at appointment or they're ready to talk to an agent. At that point, if you're level 4, you might have you have no cap on the high of the price point, but we put a bottom on it. So you're not going to receive anything that's below 600,000, say.
Interesting.
Right. And so they love that. At one point I thought that was, I thought what they were really going to love were the operational components and support. And that wasn't really the game changer for everybody. And so meaning, hey, I can give you a VA. Once you hit level 4, you get VA support to help manage your calendar, set appointments, do this, do that, like maybe some ISA work, but more administrative work. Plus we did some other things for them as the team. And nobody really
So that was really like a big driver?
Yeah, it wasn't a big driver.
It's just because the fact that they were just, I don't know, they're just not closing that many deals in this market. And they're just kind of like, I can handle a couple of deals, 2 or 3 deals a month.
I mean, some of these, level 4 agents are carrying, 5, 6, some 10 transactions at a time.
At a time, yeah.
And so obviously they've got good TCs. We've got all that. What we were looking at though is like more front end support, an additional support like scheduling showings, to helping them, lead coordinate, which means just helping them dig in their database, not necessarily calling on it, but making sure drip campaigns are set up correctly and they're doing all these things.
Yeah.
Why they liked it, I think why they didn't lean into it as much as I thought they would is because it's like running your business, right? And you have to put the business owner hat on to dive into those
most of
things.
them are not business owners.
Yeah, they're aspiring to be.
They're aspiring.
Aspiring
Okay.
to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
And you have to dedicate the time to be a great business owner.
Yeah.
And pour into those people that are working for you and with you. And so, if you're not taking and time blocking out, like, hey, I need to sit and do every morning, I get with my VA to do this, and this, and make sure that they're on track for the day. And then I require an end of day report from my VA to say, what did you accomplish? What did you get done? And did it align with what I told you the priorities were at the beginning of the day? Super simple to do. Well, kind of. But to be consistent with it, not many can do it. Mm-hmm. Not many do it. Mm-hmm. And that's the hard part, I think. Mm-hmm. And so building those habits and knowing what to do. But so that's where we're rethinking on what the operational lift and support could be. But everybody loves higher price point leads.
So when it comes to all of these levels, 1 through 4, right? Is there like a dedicated, because obviously every step of the way you guys are setting expectations, right? Setting standards. And then who's managing them? Like who's managing those standards? Do you have like managers for every level?
No. So we are regionally based, like firm belief that, real estate's done locally. You have to know the communities that you're in. You have to know the neighborhoods you're in. And so we have team leaders in each one of the pods or in that market area. So for Phoenix, it's Gilbert, Scottsdale, Peoria, Litchfield, Goodyear area. And each one of those has a team leader. My team leader to agent ratio, so it's basically a sales manager to sales rep ratio is 25 to 35 to 1. So each one of those team leaders can carry about 25 to 35 agents. Just like agents, though, team leaders have different capacities. Some do really well and can manage 35. They higher intensity, and some are really good, get really deep with people, and they can only handle about 25. And what I'm asking these team leaders to be are really, really good real estate coaches. That's what I look for. I need you to be a good real estate coach, and that's how we define success. Is are you holding good one-on-one coaching sessions with these agents? And so we operate out of a system called 3 Data Pulse, which just basically houses all of our coaching calls and agent notes and making sure that all these agents are on plan. They're on track. They're doing what they should be doing. And the way that I define success for a team leader is, are you handling those one-on-ones? And in a monthly basis, my minimum standard is 85% of your agents had a one-on-one done. And so
with you,
with that team leader,
with that team leader, right? So at least once a month. Once a month.
This is the minimum standard.
And what is covered in that one-on-one with that team leader?
It depends,
right?
And so we have frameworks for coaching calls built out for them. So we ask each agent create at least 3 pillars of their business. A lot of times those 3 pillars, and we're talking like lead generation platforms. One is team generated, and so those come the leads from us. We want all of our agents to be on team generated leads, and then we ask you to come up with at least 2. Most have 3 other pillars that they work in, and so that might be open houses. Obviously, SOI, repeat referral needs to be in there, and maybe it's social media.
Right.
And so they're helping them build. We had goals at the beginning of the year. Let's say you want to close 45 transactions this year. We know, depending on if you're a level 1, 2, 3, or 4 agent, what portion of your business is going to come from team generated. If you're a level 2, 70% of what you do is probably going to come from team generated opportunities. Once you've built a book of business, we're probably about 30% of your closings, maybe less. And so at that point, the agents are working on repeat referral. If you're level 4, it's more repeat referral, SOI. And so what they're talking to them about is like, okay, are we on target? These were the goals that we set for this year. You said you were going to do 50 transactions. We have this many here. We have this many here. We have this many here. And we follow an EOS system, if you're familiar with it, which would be quarterly rocks. And so what I'm going to take an agent through, if they're not hitting the mark in their repeat referral business, we're going to dig into their database and say, what do you have? What have you built out? What campaigns are you using? Any of the campaigns the team's built out? How are you following up with these people post-closing? How are you asking for referrals? And we're going to document that in 3 Data Pulse. Plus my team leaders have a regional team leader that manages them. So as we see agents that aren't on target, first place we go, just like a CRM, is we go to 3 Data Pulse and we look at it and go, okay, have you been coaching this agent? They're clearly they're not on track to hit what they said their goals were. What's getting in the way? Sometimes it's life events. Sometimes it's things out of their control. Sometimes it's just not the consistency, and they didn't even know what to do in this one pillar, in the open house pillar or the repeat referral business. And so that's what I'm walking them through, and that's what I expect a good team leader to understand and be able to help them with. And so when we use the EOS system, it is those quarterly rocks. We're like, okay, here's the goal, and then here's the strategies and tactics. So it might be something like, hey, I'm going to start a closed Facebook group for all my past clients to do some sort of raffle giveaway every month, right? And so that your strategy is to increase it, and this is the tactic I'm going to employ. Okay, when are you going to get that done by? Okay, what do you need from me to help support you in getting that done? And that holding them accountable to it, and then understanding what the clear tactics are to move towards that goal. A lot of times they just need help fleshing that out, and then help and accountability to getting there.
Got it. So aside from the monthly coaching sessions, one-on-one sessions that your team leaders have with the agents on their team, are there any other like weekly, milestone check-ins or any type of like, hey, this is what I've done this week, this is my progress report, or any of that stuff that is expected from the agent?
So we have tracking systems, obviously. So we use Sisu for our dashboarding of like CRM performance. We also use a BI software called Grow, which pulls just what we like about like Follow Up Boss and some of the other systems we use for transaction management is we can pull it all into this BI software of Grow, which displays exactly where an agent's at any given time. So the minimum standard is once a month. The expectation, depending on the agent, is weekly, if that's what the agent needs, if they're off track, or even if they're on track. Like, you can't have too many coaching calls. And the minimum standard is just simply to say, like, if you don't do this, that's a problem. And
so if they don't do it, let's say, for example, they're having these conversations and they're saying, yep, I'm going to do, let's say, 3 open houses, but they're not doing 3 open houses. Something is getting in the way. Oh, this week it's this, another week it's the sick kid, another week vacationing, and this and that. What happens in that event? I mean, do you demote them from level 4 to level 3? I mean, are they going backwards, or?
It really, so where we care the most, and we want them to grow in all pillars of their business, but it really matters on team generated leads more than anything. Like, you can, if you're delivering here, because we have a big cost there, and we have a bunch of people that want those leads. If you're not delivering there, then there can be, we don't like, you can be paused and then you can be removed. But I hate the punitive nature and the punitive talk of that. And so we're very clear with people on what the standards are. They know what they need to do. And we define it as like an optimization period. Hey, we're going to pause you. We're going to pause you for the next 30 days. You've got a bunch of connections. We haven't got converted. We're going to dig into this, and we're going to see how to get you back up to the conversion that we need. And so that seems to be the best way of going about it. Now, if you don't hit your open house pillar, that to me is like, hey, do you really want this?
Yeah.
If you don't, but you got to be converting.
So the emphasis is like on team leads, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously that's the biggest
cost
expense, right? And then obviously, like, on the split side of things, that's where you make most of the money.
Well, yeah, I mean, the revenue comes on that side of it.
Yeah.
The best margin based on cost is on the other stuff.
On the personal stuff, right? Yeah.
But we're the things that we're primarily holding accountability to are the team generated, and then trying to drive the performance on the other stuff.